Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Wednesday, August the 16th. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading numbers. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. What am I talking about trading numbers? Well, when we look at charts, aren't we just really looking at a bunch of numbers when you think about it? Look at a 1-minute chart and we see the price and all these different levels. They're just numbers. And what we try to do as traders is we pick one number and we hope it'll go to the other number. And I say hope because that's really what we're kind of doing. We're playing a system or a method or just random entries. And we're saying, hey, you know what? Maybe it'll go from this number to this number. And that's all we're doing. And, sometimes we'll do things like we'll, draw these lines like this and say, if it crosses that line at whatever number that is, then we'll go long. And we do that repeatedly. Or we might do it the other way, so long as it stays above, say, this line, these numbers. And that's what we're doing, just playing with numbers. But we all know these numbers have meanings, and the thing is, we as people give these numbers meanings because the numbers themselves have no meaning. And one of the things we might forget about the numbers is, especially us Forex traders, is these last three numbers, it's less than a penny. 1.27, that's $1.27. And this is all, tens, hundreds, thousands. And sometimes we're scratching for those thousands, those hundreds, those tenths. It's just something to think about. Keep in mind what these numbers actually represent. So for the pound to go, say, from 127 to 128, that's just a penny. But I mean, sometimes I think we might lose sight of that. But when you start to really look at what we're doing as traders and you boil it down, it kind of makes it simple, and it's kind of laughable in a way when you think about it. But what happens is, you got millions and billions and trillions of dollars, and when you do that, those decimal points start to add up. I mean, a billion is just, what? 1/10 of 1%. Of a trillion. I mean, a billion doesn't even move. If you're working with trillions, a billion doesn't even move the needle, really. And that's just something you have to realize. Actually, it's less than a tenth. It's 100%. Because let's see, if you had a trillion, 10 billion would be a percent. Right? So yeah, I guess it is 1/10 of 1%. It's not much. So as we sit here and we trade, we look at lines, we look at dots. Oh, and somebody was asking about what was the dot indicator? That's TROIND2, and you can go out to Crestlick.com and download the MT4 motherload, and it doesn't matter which one. You can download the latest one, and that indicator will be in there. It's an oldie but goodie. And all it is it's the EMA 5. And it's just if the price closes above, it's aqua, and if the price closes below, it's magenta. So as you can see here on the current one, as price is crossing above or below, the dot will change colors. And you can see here we're at the 25 line. That's just a number, but that's a psychological number. A lot of people react at those levels. So it's just numbers. So we can go through the charts here and look at some other numbers. Okay, for the year, we are 633 above the open here with the pound. You can see here for this month is red. We came out of that upper wick zone. We touched inside that and actually broke through the lower wick zone, and now we're in the candle body the previous month. We look at the weekly, you can see we're 29 pips up for the week. All gaps have filled. Notice we got into that upper opening range here at 40 and 27.40, and then prices dropped out of that upper range. We dropped it, actually we opened inside the opening range for the week. We're above it now by about 8 pips. And it's dropping. We got some inside bar action. Last week was an inside bar. 5 days ago we had an inside bar. So you see we broke into that inside bar the past 4 days. You can see we broke out of it on both sides 4 days ago. $80 pip range on the pound today. We only got 4 pairs over 100 pips, and 3 of them are pound pairs. Somebody was asking me which pair to trade, and I've been trading the pound dollar along with Walmart for over a couple years now. Before I was trading with Walmart, I would trade dollar yen, only because of the way it moved, but it didn't matter to me. Walmart liked trading the pound, so I said, okay, I'll trade the pound with you. But somebody else was asking me, you know, why am I trading Forex instead of futures or equities? And the reason I quit trading equities so much is most of the time with equities, you're looking for the stock du jour, stock of the day, the hot stock, and you just chase them. But you know, long time ago, when I created the buy zone, I realized I just needed to find stocks, or just one stock, that worked really well using the buy zone. And so I traded Google, I traded Apple, I traded Taser. I'm trying to think, and why I would switch from one to another, it would take usually months, is if they just started acting differently and the statistics weren't as good as they used to be. So I wrote a filter. It's still over on StockFetcher. I call it the MTC checker, the milk the cow checker. And because I call the equities, I call them cows. And the reason is because here on the West Coast, I've got to get up, early in the morning to trade. So it's like I wake up at the same time as the dairy farmers when they have to go out and milk the cows. So that's why I call them the cows, and I call it milking the cows. But that MTC checker will give you equities that usually 80 out of the last 100 days, they traded high to minus open at least 50 cents 80 times or more. So, and they also have to have at least 1 million shares, and maybe, I think there might be one other parameter. I'm not really sure. It's been a long time since I looked at that filter, but that's what I did, or that's how I picked stocks to trade. And I would just stick with one so long as that number stayed above 80. I'd sit there and trade it day in and day out. And rats, looks like the red rats feasted here, coming out of that upper rat zone. And the green rats, they just having to wait their turn because right here there wasn't enough range for rat trade. Bambino flex indicator says to go short near the pivot. It called for a short, and looks like the pivot trading plan near R1 was a short, and that was a good short. The pivot short, not so much. We've taken out that daily pivot. We've taken out the weekly. We've yet to take out the monthly. And the H4 you see here, we've got a pivot that needs to be taken out for this current H4 at 35. So we'll have to see if that's going to be a good play or not. We're in the previous day's upper wick zone. We've already jumped out of the top one time. Have to wait and see what happens there. Or in between the ATR zones. The high was put in 4 candles ago and the low 12 candles ago. Notice how we just seem to be hanging right around that 25. I saw 28 not too long ago. Actually, it hit 30 this hour. Looking at the H4, looking at the high minus previous high and low minus previous low. So here you see there's a little small breakout to the bottom worth a couple of pips. And here we go below that 25 again. It's just it's a battle around there today. And there you can see you got an outside bar. 4 M5s to go. We're going to have an outside bar here. And now usually, based on statistics, these outside bars break harder. The breaks are harder than the inside bars. You can see we had a nice break there, and then it broke the low and kept going. See, it broke the low here 1, 2, 3 times. Hasn't quite broken that high. It got close and got turned around. And here you can see once again it's hitting, going across highs and lows. So, fellow traders, we're just trading numbers. And always remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.